Today on the Kite Bag Tour, it's rare finds and gifts from a friend. Welcome back to Skyrider Limited. I am Jesse. Welcome back to another Kite Bag Tour. Been a minute since we've done one of these, and this video is very different than what I planned to give you. I thought this was going to be a really short video, and then a couple days ago, I went and visited a friend. I went and visited Doug Coach. You've seen Doug fly on the channel. Doug and I flew pairs around the 2010s for a bit, and we've stayed pretty good friends ever since. Well, I mean, we were friends before that, but you know what I mean. Any rate, um, so I went and visited Doug. He just had his knee replaced, and just went and saw him down Rhode Island and had lunch with Doug and with his wife Jan. And Doug gave me some kites from his collection. Um, so this video has a lot more kites in it than I expected to be filming when I planned to make it. And a couple of them you've actually seen because he lent me two of them previously. But suffice to say, there's some really special stuff coming today. So sit tight. We're going to dive right in because this one's going to be a lot longer than I planned for. But I think you are all going to really enjoy some of the hardware in this video. So let's start with the stuff I planned for, and then we'll get into the stuff that Doug gave me, and yeah, we'll get this moving along. So this is kind of interesting. I did not take this kite out of the bag prior to doing this video, and I'm sort of kind of glad I didn't, and wish I did all at once. What we have here is a Prism 3D. It's an older 3D. It's got great colors. I loved the colorway on it. It came up on eBay. I snapped it up. However, it's a little more interesting than just a 3D, because it is most definitely new old stock, unflown. And why am I so sure of that? Anybody see anything missing here? Somehow this sail got manufactured in Seattle, bagged up, QC'd, bagged up, and shipped to a retailer without anyone noticing that the holes for the standoffs were never punched, and therefore the standoffs were never installed. It has all its fittings. I'm able to more or less assemble it, fully bridled, no standoffs. Bag still has its bag tag. Bag has its field card and lines in it. It's kind of cool. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Wasn't really sure what I was gonna do with it when I bought it, but now I kind of love it as this weird little unicorn, like misstruck penny that I've come into possession of. For those not familiar with the Prism 3D, it's a predecessor to the 4D, and it was Prism's small indoor and super ultralight. They're a little microcarbon kite that were sort of kind of fun to play around in a small space somewhere between like small, school gym and an urban setting. And they do okay on shortish lines and pretty low wind. Outdoors, like a lot of the little indoor kites. Think for current example, think Kiteforge Kaiju, I guess would probably be, or obviously the Prism 4D. Um, they were bigger. They are bigger than a Micron and not as burly of frame. They were, again, meant for more indoor use, where the Micron was meant for like zippy high wind play. Um, but it's cool. It's a shrunk down little high camber prism thing, and I was sort of looking forward to playing with it. Now I don't quite know what I'm going to do with it. Probably hang it on a wall. Um, Part of me doesn't want to poke the holes in it. Uh, just keep it as is because it's so funny and cool. Um, so yeah, Prism 3D. The first thing that I collected in this new batch, and we'll keep plugging along here. We're gonna jump from Seattle over the pond to England. So longtime viewers will know that I've been working on collecting sort of the back catalog of Benson and Benson related sport kites. I've found a Phantom and a Bantam Phantom, a Swallowtail. I have a Scorcher and a Scorcher 2. I have the Box of Tricks, Matchbox, Reflex, and Fusion. Um, and behind me is one of the ones I was missing. Recently, Ben Huggett, who is Region 2 director for the AKA, was tasked with helping liquidate a collection of backstock, new old stock kites that came from a kite shop that used to be on Long Island, with the proceeds going to the AKA. Remember that, 'cause it's going to be important as we move through these next few kites, actually. Um, the shop that these had all come from was sort of one of the connections for imported sport kites, European in particular, and a lot of Benson related product. And there were Phantoms and Swallowtails, and there was a bunch of stuff from Rare Air, and there were some Force 10s and all sorts of cool sport kites. Force 10s are not European, but they're cool and they're giant, and you should look them up. What we have here is a Fizz Sport Kites High Profile. It is a new old stock high profile. It came with the instruction manual, and I mean instructions, safety warning. I'm being very careful not to tear this because it's stapled together. Um, like instructions. And maybe my favorite thing tucked into the instruction manual is a vintage AKA membership application. How do I know this is vintage and not Ben being cheeky? Well, membership dues for 1 year were $8. I wish it was $8. Not the membership's expensive, but $8. Anyway, more on to the kite, because that's why we're really here. Ripstop nylon, structal, high mod carbon, super high aspect ratio, probably where the name came from. I love this crazy neon pink and purple. This is a color I wish we had in Icarus. We don't have a good, like, the neon pink gets washed out really easy. This, like, rich fuchsia, magenta, like, bright pink was never really around in Icarus. It's a really interesting standoff configuration with these teeny tiny, medium, long standoffs out at the wing. So I think the wing shape is going to be very rigid in flight, which will be really interesting. I suspect it will rotate like an absolute throwing star, a little like the Element, but with more of an old school, like, Stranger Psycho vibe. Just because of the frame structure and how wide the tunneling is with the 3 standoffs. It should be interesting. Um, you kind of period typical 3-point bridle. Really typical on the fusions was this metal ring as the connection point with everything Lark's headed on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying this one for sure. I have not had the chance to fly it yet. Center tee's kind of interesting. We've got this sort of center tube here, and then it's rubber O-ring um, holding that in place. I have to say, wherever these were stored was like the perfect place to store sport kites because all of the original fittings are good. None of the glue seems brittle on any of the stops. Like, for all the world, this 30-something-year-old sport kite looks like it just popped out of a factory this morning. That's the high profile. Let's move into the next kite, which I also got from Ben. This one came home from convention, and this one hits onto the bucket list for me. So yeah, I'm really excited to show you one of these because there's probably not that many in the U.S. We are staying over in Europe. We are heading to France, so sit tight, and I'm gonna go get something really special. Uh, Longtime viewers of the channel. Boy, I've started with this a bit. Longtime viewers of the channel will know that I have a major soft spot in my heart for team kites. I grew up flying pairs and team. I am something of a connoisseur of team kites. So when I went to Ben and said, "What else have you got that's interesting?" When we were in Niagara to see what else he had from that collection, and he said, "Well, I think there's a Blackbird." I just about fell over dead. Not only is it a Blackbird Kite Company Blackbird 1, it is an exceedingly early one. How do we know it's early? Well, for a start, those are snap swivels. It's the old rectangular print Icarus. And these this frame, if I'm not mistaken, there are no labels on it, but if I'm not mistaken, is Revolution Advantage 4 wrap. Now, stay there. Because the kite came with a few other things. So most kites come with a bag. In the bag, we find, hold please, come back to that in a moment. In the bag, we find a whole second frame. About 99.99% sure that this is 2 wrap, and that this is the ultralight frame. I'm really, really interested in this system of like pull lines that they use to help you assemble the leading edges. That's super cool. And then you've got your spine segments and spreaders. So that's super, super cool. In addition to all of that, it all came wrapped up in this super cool blow mold plastic tube. This is how it was shipped, apparently. Threaded separation, and in there we find the Blackbird 1. That was the label for the tube with its dimensions 2.53 meters by 1.1 meters, made of 32 grams per meter squared polyester. Double structure fiber de carbon spiral 7.3 millimeters by 6 millimeters. Wind range of 1 to 55 kilometers an hour. Depending on your frame, it either weighs 330 or 400 grams. I mean, that's cool in and of itself. We have spare bungee and a spare tip knot. Interesting note, this one was not on the kite. I had to install that when I took it out of the tube. I have flown this one. And it came with, if I can get it out of here, its original Le Blackbird manual. French is not my strong suit. Bear with me here, huh? Which includes, you put your name in it, and precision figures. I don't know if I'm not doing a good job. There, precision figures. Amongst other things about the kite. I'm gonna have to translate this at some point and get the make a translated manual because it's just too darn cool. Some other things I have found out recently is that we now know this to be early. So, only thing that was missing on the kite was its standoff connectors, which is why these are APAs. The There is somebody actually building Blackbirds again. I'm a little unclear if he's building them like commercially or if he's just building some for himself or his team. But I spotted some posts from him on Facebook. Reached out and I was able to get updated frame spec and bridle. I don't plan on changing this kite. I was actually looking for bridle dimensions just so I can confirm. I mean, this is all marked. It should be all in the right place. But just so I can confirm and maybe tie a bridle without the snap swivels. Um, just because snap swivels are like a gigantic risk to the sail. But I have also discovered that the newer ones have a second standoff. In addition to the batting, they have a standoff out here on the inside of the winglet. This kite does not have a provision for that. I would not add one. So I find that kind of fascinating. I'm assuming that it was added to try and create some trailing edge tension and quiet the kite down without giving up a little bit of that active trailing edge with no leech line that helped with speed control. Um, it is, as you would expect for a team kite, crazy precise. The active standoffs do help it sort of breathe as the wind goes up and down, and be super, super consistent in speed. I mean, this is the French team kite godfather right here. This is, this thing is to the Avatar as the Matrix sort of fed Carl into the Fury, as the Hawaiian into the NSR to, I don't know what would come after the North Shore Radical, but you get the idea. I'm so excited to have one, and I feel like now with a Hawaiian, a North Shore Radical, a Matrix, a Fury, this thing, I'm really only missing an Avatar for the great team kites of the world. But I'm not in a hurry to spend more money right this instant. So yeah, Blackbird. Oh, it's so cool. And most of them, like almost everyone I've ever seen, has been yellow. So finding it in red just kind of feels like it was meant to be, because, well, again, anybody who's familiar with the channel knows what my standard color pattern is. So here we are. I have a Blackbird. So this one probably is the deal of the bunch. Got this in the silent auction at the AKA convention for a whopping, I think my winning bid was like $35. 35 or 45. I don't really remember, but it was well below a third digit. What we have here is a highly strung kites aerial. I think it is an aerial pro. I've tried to do a little bit of research. I found a review which says it was one of the great precision kites of the early 90s. It's framed all in Beman. It does look like it's going to be crazy precise. It reminds me a bit of like a Legend. Not Legend, a Liberator. So I'm really looking forward to exploring this. There's some interesting standoff connections here. I think these are Easton fittings. Could be wrong. Um, and I think the probably most interesting is out here, these sail outboard standoff battens are velcroed in, and I'm not 100% sure if they're supposed to go behind that pocket and then the velcro tensions, or what the deal with that is. And I'm guessing these bridle pigtails are supposed to be somewhere up here. Again, a little bit of restoration work to do for sure. Wingtip bungees are bungeed out. But it's another one of these, like, God, I wish we had these colors in Icarus. This is somewhere between Caribbean blue and teal. It's a really pretty color. This great, much more sort of medium orange in between the neon orange that we get and the, like, kind of warmer, rustier orange that we have in Icarus. Nylon kites did have some great colors because there were a lot more colors in nylon. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It'll be interesting to see what it wants to do. I think it might do, a decent 540 and some rotational tricks. I doubt it's going to be very happy on its back. But, you'll see that in an upcoming video for sure. Yeah, again, I don't have the most information on it. I mostly grabbed it because I didn't have anything highly strung in my collection, and being from Australia, there weren't a ton around. More than I think I'm probably giving it credit, but definitely not a lot left. So, um, yeah, I'm excited for this one, and thankfully, I just came into a good backstock of Beman, so keeping things whole won't be too bad. So, now we enter the unexpected kites. Um, Went to visit Doug, and he had a pile of kites waiting for me. And he had mentioned wanting to pass some stuff over to me a while back. This one he had not mentioned, and I am absolutely in love. What you see here is Viper Sport kites, Shawn Tinkham, Venom. The Venom is the larger version of the Vendetta. So you've seen a Vendetta on the channel. I flew Doug's Red Vendetta in a video almost a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years ago. Um, and that kite is so the Vendetta was developed by one of the guys over in Europe into the 99. I've talked a little bit about this before. The 99, the 90 nothing, the 93, all of those are percentage of scaling of the Vendetta. The 116, the biggest normal version of the 99, there is actually one bigger that I'm aware of, but the 116 would roughly equate to a Venom. The Venom is 2.54 meters, or about about 100 inches. It's a 5 PT frame, or at least spreaders. I don't actually know what the spine is. Let me peek on the back here. Shawn is straight Sky Shark. That is all I can tell you, because it is the markings are rolled against the sail. Shawn was a big believer in nylon over Icarus at a time when Icarus had taken over the world. The nylon and lack of leech line gave the kites really great and consistent speed. And then you've got this really interesting Velcro wear patch. He was old school with his seatbelt webbing nose, but then the no snag nose, no snag fittings there. R Sky hard yo-yo blocks, which I am kind of on record is really liking. And right for the time, we were headed back to 3 points with leaders. This one should be fun because it's going to have a lot of the things that the Vendetta brings to the table, but in a slower, more precise and deliberate pace that I think should make it a really fun kite to play with. I'm really looking forward to flying this one and getting video for you guys. I'm also really excited to have one of Shawn's kites. Shawn had sort of faded out of kiting when I came back around the 2010s, um, which is too bad. I always liked Shawn and his wife Patty, and when I was little and we were flying, and they had just started getting into kites. And when Shawn first started building kites with the original Vipers and then the Tantrums, I always really liked what he was doing, and he was is such a smart dude and figured out stuff really well, and just workmanship on this thing is just so nice and precise. You can really see the care that Shawn put into these. Like, the applique is actually front cut, and this is all like that pinstripe is not pinstripe. That's front cut applique, with really nice tight zigzags on his trailing edge and on all the applique. More open zigzag on the taped larger seams. Just really nicely finished. Really nice piece of work. So from there, we're hopping over to France. So sit tight. I'm gonna go get 3 more kites. So around me is the next part of my gift from Doug. Um, I have been looking for a while for either a set of Cavalier STX 23s or a standard sticks to complete the set of blue ones that I had picked up from Cassie down at Flying Smiles when she was liquidating some stuff from the back closet down at the shop. Uh, Familiar story for people who have watched the Kite Bag Tour videos for a long time. Did a whole Cavalier Mega episode a while back. My dad and I flew for Cavalier in sort of 2001 to end of 2000, 2001, 2002, 3, 4 when we stopped. We were flying Stixes. The Stix is the immediate predecessor to the STX. STYX, remove the Y, STX. 2.3 meter wing. The original Stix was 2.3 meters. It was a sail graphic change mostly, with some other updates that would show up later. I have converted 2 Stixes to what I refer to as Stix Evos, which have yo-yo stop placement from these kites, tailweight package. I used Randy Greenway's mod for the STX, shorter upper spreader, and sucked in the noses to help them backspin faster. And I used Ron Graziano's 3-point bridle conversion. Now, that 3-point bridle was mostly for the UL, but I have it on a vented Stix, STYX Stix as well, and I actually think it suits all 3 kites. That said, I'm probably not going to rebridle the standard and vent behind me. So what is behind me is a full set of Sunrise Cavalier STX 2.3s. They are later production STXs. You can tell because they have the factory yo-yo stops. They used APA standoff connectors for that. And all of the sticks, I think all of the STXs have the embroidered Cavalier Avia Sport combined logo, but that may just be a later thing. These also do have factory brass tailweights on them. Doug has already converted this to Ron's 3-point bridle. And he did a fairly typical mod for the time using some plastic he made snagless upper spreader covers to help the line slide by for yo-yos. Kind of an interesting note here. This is a stock colorway, but that colorway, this is not the first time I've seen this. Devin at Canvas got a set of these, same color actually. Maybe a year or so back. And he had the same thing where the orange, I think the orange must have gone in and out of availability, uh, becomes gold and back to orange. So you can see that here. This one, as well as the orange, the standard is the gold. I'm pretty sure that's gold and not just faded orange. That would be really sun faded, and the rest of the kite doesn't show that much fading. So I'm pretty sure that's just gold. So like I said, this was Doug's practice set. He also had a custom set done in berry that's really striking. He obviously held on to those, and I don't blame him. He actually flies them quite a bit still. That said, I'm so excited because I finally have a set that I can play with and not beat up our pairs kites, and a full set. And I might be a little biased here, but I think this is the better version of the vent. There was also a version of the vent that was variable patch vent, and the venting locations were different. And I don't think it was as good a version of the kite. Sorry, Kurt and Mona. This, I think, is pretty much the pinnacle of this kite. And I'm really, really excited that I have a full set again that is not a pairs kite set that I can be free to fly and actually push on. Yeah. And I mean, it's such a great colorway. I always liked this colorway. Used to sort of think that my favorite was probably, so there were 3 colorways. There was this, there was Storm, which was a great colorway. I actually have an STX 2.3 in Storm in the basement. And then we also have a 1.9, which was the baby of the family originally. And they ended up being a 1.8 and a 2.4 and a 2.5 as well. Stories for other times, which is in the Sunset combo. Um, so originally I probably would have said Storm was my favorite, but as I've kind of grown up a bit, I've really come to love the Sunset. So a complete set and sunset is really, really cool. I'm really excited about that. This kite, so the sticks, which became the STX, which became a lot of other things through influence, is probably one of the more prolific kites that had a long run in production. And it touched a lot of other kites. Was an influence on a lot of other kites, directly or indirectly. And we're actually going to, I keep glancing off camera to the 3 kites that are waiting in the wings. We're going to jump to 2 kites that it directly influenced. And those are kites you've met before. And now they reside in my bag, and I couldn't be more excited about that. And that's the Ron Graziano machine. The unicorns have come to live with me now. Whoa, God. Wait, when was that? Like middle of 2023. I did a video. I had these 2 on loan. So refresher, Ron Graziano machine standard, arrow stuff. It's all Gold S leading edge, Gold S spreaders. It's a Via 220 upper spreader. It's a protruded spine. I don't know what size. And above, the machine industrial, also known as the vent. This one dated 12/2 of 05. It is industrial machine number 4. There's a variable vent, and this is all in a Via G-Force standard spreaders, a Via G-Force standard leading edge, 220 upper spreader, solid spine, not solid, protruded spine. It's actually lead tape on the tail weights, I believe. So basically, Ron had been flying the STXs. He and Randy had both been flying them, actually. Together and apart, they had been making modifications and trying to get more and more out of the kite. And at some point, Ron felt that he had hit the limit of what the kite would do. And so he created the machine. The machine is a relative, but a development from the sticks. I don't know that. Like, I've never asked Ron point blank, but some of the giveaways, same upper spreader, and I believe the same spreader length as the final modifications on the STXs. And the 3-point bridle is almost identical to the one he developed for the UL sticks. The kite is a bit heavier tail weighted than we've become used to, but very typical for its time period. It's a very quick roll up kite, but it doesn't feel overweighted the way some of the kites in that era tend to. I have not flown the vent. I have flown the standard. There is a video on the channel with the standard. You will get more of that, of both, for sure, and soon. These are not just going to sit in the bag. Some other interesting and sort of period stuff. It probably doesn't show up great on camera, but there around the standoff fittings is helicopter tape. Help the bridle slide and keep the wear down for when the kite's on its back and rotating. I actually think I'm going to put these into my main bag. There's a pretty good chance that this kite might even see action in France. I was talking about it with John at Canvas, and this just, with all the patches off, will have a lot more venting than the vented intention. And I think there's a pretty good chance that I might use this as my super vent alternative in going forward into France, because why not? It's certainly a winning kite. And I keep mentioning Randy Greenway. It's worth note that this kite was originally made for Randy. Refresher on the standard, this kite was made as part of a auction. I think it was an auction. It might have been a raffle. It was a benefit for the American Red Cross, to benefit Hurricane Katrina relief. So this kite was uh, built in 2000. I think that was 2004 or five. Machine started. That was 2005 as well. So these kites are actually 2 months apart to the day. 10/2 and 12/2 are the dates on the sales. Um, the standard does not have a number. It just, on this wing, notes that it was for the American Red Cross auction '05, and then thanks Doug. So it did go straight to Doug. Um, they're special. So for those of you who don't know the lore behind the machine, you couldn't just buy a machine from Ron. Um, he didn't market them. You had to get one in an auction or a raffle or be a close friend of Ron's. Um, and then you may end up with a standard. If you were a close friend or if you had already bought uh, a standard, usually at some horrendous price at a kite auction. Um, well, realistically, probably a fair price given how rare the kites ended up being. We'll come back to that in a moment. Ron would usually give you the option of getting ultralight in the standard if you ultralight event rather if you so desired. Um, there will not be. Sorry, I'm just noticing little details. The lower diamond appears to be. Oh, that's so interesting. This line is cut. This panel. This is not a set, like he didn't carry a line across and then a separate panel or go that way with the panel. He definitely could have carried that across there, but he didn't. This belly is two halves, but yeah, the diamond, that's so cool. Sorry. Um the templates were destroyed when another hurricane made its way through New Jersey, and Ron's basement flooded, unfortunately. So there pretty much can never be more machines. Although this vent is pretty crispy. If somebody was so inclined, somebody named Ron, uh, to want to build kites again, we could probably get templates back out of this one. But I would also hate to take it apart to do that because, well, it's so crispy. So here they are, the machines. I can't tell you. There is another kite. This is going to sound like a wrap up, but I have another kite to share with you, and we'll do that in a minute. I can't tell you what it means to me that Doug passed these along to me. Um, uh, Doug is one of my closer friends in kiting, and we've spent a good amount of time flying together and practicing together and traveling together. Not as much as my dad, obviously, but like a good amount of time, and I still see him several times a year and fly together. Um, I really, really appreciate these. Were bucket list type kites, and yeah, I this is a public thank you, Doug. Thank you, truly. Um, can't even begin to tell you what your. When I first came back to kiting, I had a reputation. I was kind of a shit as a kid. My dad and I weren't always civil with each other. We have a much, much, much better relationship now, as you've seen in a recent training days video, even. And have for a long time, I should say. But for a while there, we had been competing a long time together and traveling a long time together, and we were communicating as teammates and not a father and son at all times, and that wasn't good or healthy. And like I said, we're much better about that now. But a lot of people had memories of the way I behaved. And Doug immediately got to know who I was when I came back and didn't make assumptions. And I am forever grateful to him for that. And for his continued friendship and for this gift. So yeah, thank you, Doug. Truly. All right. I'm gonna put these away. I'm gonna get the last kite, and we're gonna continue this sort of lineage. We're headed back to France. Last one, and not nearly as rare as the previous, but certainly still something special. I would be willing to bet it is one of the most flown competition kites of all time. Um, the R Sky Nirvana. This is a really early one too. Um, so according to Doug, the story of how he ended up with this kite is he went to High Flyers Flight Company, the kite shop that used to be in Newport, Rhode Island, to pick up his custom STXs. And Sue, who owned the place, goes, "Doug, you really need one of these. This is the next hot sport kite." And so, in addition to his three custom STXs, he also left with this kite. Um, it's a silver and charcoal and teal standard. I love this sort of gloss vinyl pinstripe detail that breaks up the panels there. I have never talked to anyone who could confirm this, but I am reasonably sure. Hold, please. Cat wishes to pass through. Come on, then. Any rate, I'm reasonably certain that this kite also descends from the sticks. It's French. It was flown by a number of flyers who at one point flew Cavalier. It is a 235 four standoff taper framed kite. Um, uh, and even the graphic sort of harkens back to the original Styx graphic. It is, that said, very much its own kite. This thing was a big part of the French Revolution. It pushed things forward in a big, big way. Um, you know, I have flown this one once. I have flown Nirvana's a couple of times, and every time I walk away going, "Holy God, here is, this is the thing. This is everything I could want." Um, a lot of new kites have come out since the Nirvana. Were a lot of versions of Nirvana. And the last version is now well to bed at this point, but there is something about this kite that just captures the imagination like very, very few sport kites. I mean, details. This one is pretty well sewn. They were a factory produced kite, sort like, I shouldn't say factory, studio produced kite. They were being mass produced, but in a studio setting in France. Um, Stitching on this one's really good. Nirvana's were sort of known for every once in a while you'd find one that wasn't great, but this one appears to be pretty close to perfect. Um, all acrylics, heavy webbing double nose, um, with the sort of more modern version of a snagless where the nose is capped over so the line sliding down can't grab. It is from before protected pockets, so Doug has put these pieces of water bottle in there to protect. Interestingly, this one is from before the R Sky yo-yo stops got popular and got made, but after the center tee. So it has APA fittings like the STXs for yo-yo blocks, and it is still a turbo bridle. Um, I'm really excited. This is another kite I've wanted for a long time and never found one. And here we are. Here is one. And again, thank you to Doug. And I can't wait to get out and start flying these and do some videos for you guys. Um, God, guys, as always, thank you for liking, watching, following, subscribing, sharing. Um, Coming on this wild ride of kites tonight, today, whenever this video comes out. Again, thank you to Doug for this incredible gift. And I'm so excited that I got to share them all with you guys. Um, yeah, so much content going on right now, so much work going towards World Cup preparation and stuff. So, as always, make sure you hit that little bell icon and be subscribed so you get all the updates. And we will see you out there, Skyrider.